Hello my beautiful co-creators of the new paradigm. Thank you for watching this channel and for tuning in. Today I'm gonna give you the video that I promised you a while back already. That is gonna be all about Sirius, and I'm gonna seriously try my best to have as much information fit in here as possible. Beginning with the beginning, the astronomy and astrology of Sirius in connection with our Earth and our own Sun are very, very interesting, especially right now in our age of ascension, because they are very tightly intertwined. Now, as you know, our moon revolves around our Earth planet, and our Earth revolves around our Sun. But did you also know that our Sun revolves around Sirius, and that they actually make a very interesting and beautiful dance together? Now, in order to explain that to you more specifically and with some illustrations, I will make some drawings for you. But if you're not really interested in that part, then I recommend you skip what's coming up next and go to the time frame that is in the image below here right now. And then I'll see you in a bit, and we'll just skip ahead and move right on to the ET, frequency, beings, and the dolphins and all of that, because I'm gonna speak about that too. Unless you want to know about all the details of the astronomy and astrology and the Yuga-cycle from Hindu tradition, then hang on and keep on watching. See you in a bit! Okay, so here we are with pen and paper, and I'm gonna illustrate to you how the Sun and Sirius are dancing around each other in the universe. So this is the root of Sirius, and this is the root of our Sun. And they both move in a way that they continue to meet each other in the middle. So, oh, look at this. So the Sirius-star, while also rotating around its tiny little cute-ass brother Sirius B, by the way, is moving like this, and the Sun is moving like this, and then they come much, much closer together, and they rotate around each other, and then they move apart again. And this constantly repeats itself. Although every single time they make this journey, it looks a little bit different, because nothing in the universe ever is redundant. This trajectory tiny bit evolves and grows and changes in itself as well. But this has been going on for a while, and it looks like it will be going on for another while. And every single time this happens, it takes around and about 24,000 years. And within Hindu tradition, this is called the Yuga-cycle. And it's really interesting. They have made it very clear and nice as an example to explain and share with you guys, that whenever Sirius and our Sun are very close, obviously we have a lot of light to benefit from that surrounds us. And in that age, this is where we can access 100% of our consciousness, according to the Yuga traditions, or the way the Hindu traditions are explaining this to us. So this center point is called the Golden Age, or Satya Age. Satya, Yuga. Yuga basically means age. So, Golden Age, right here. Lots of light, lots of information flowing easily, effortlessly for everybody to tune in with and harmonize with. Everybody knowing who they really are. No conflict, lots of harmony, love, peace, bliss vibes, all of that. Really, really great time to be in. And whenever we're moving in that direction, this is where you're going. And when you're moving away from it, or when, let's say, the Sun and Sirius are moving outward from it, that is when the opposite is happening. We're beginning to forget again, or we have to pay a little bit more attention, let's say, to what we're doing and what kind of influences that has on ourselves and others. So it is this wave-like pattern that is constantly taking place, in which you could say, when they're moving closer together, this really is ascension. And when they're moving apart again, it is descension. So the golden age is right there in the middle, and then this part where they're getting closer together or starting to move away again is called the silver age, or the Treta age. And then there is the bronze age, or Dwapara age. And then there is the metal, I know it sounds not so good, right? The metal Yuga, or metal age, or Kali age. Kali is the Sanskrit word. So these are the phases that we have been growing through, learning from. So not to make this all sound as if we are trapped in some kind of loop that is horrible, that nobody can do anything about. My opinion is that what we see here is just a reflection of what on a higher level we have decided to explore within ourselves. And that this is just, like everything else that we see around us that we consider to be our outer reality, it's a reflection of our inner selves. That's how I look at astrology overall, but it is a beautiful, beautiful reminder of who we really are and where we're coming from and what the idea is behind things. So that's why it's so beautiful that an old religion or philosophy like this Hindu Yuga setup, astrological explanation, helps us see the bigger picture, and that is very, very helpful. So as you understand, this whole thing is 24,000 years. So these halves are both 12,000 years of ascension and descension. And like I said before, in the middle part, according to tradition, they say you can access 100% of your consciousness. And in the silver part, it is 75%. In the bronze part, it is 50%. And in the metal age or Kali age, it is only 25%. And we're basically kind of just moving out of this. Now, opinions are differing about this. I've heard different stories around. But some people think we're just moving out of metal. Some people think we've been inside of bronze for a while, maybe even moving into silver already. Well, you can decide that for yourself. And maybe my personal point of view, maybe all of them are happening at once and we're just seeing different angles of the same story unfolding in many layers. That's actually what I'm thinking. That is why we can still see so much darkness around, but also tune in with the light so much easier already. And with these percentages, personally, I think that when it says 25% of our consciousness is accessible, I believe that the 100% is accessible wherever you are. That's my personal opinion, but I think it was less probable that would happen here, but it was still possible, and the same goes for here and here. I think the 100% has been accessible always on our planet, because it is never all or nothing in that sense, in nature, but it must have been more challenging, at least for the majority of people, to get to that point. And right now we're riding the wave. We've got some momentum going. We're heading for the light. Yay, baby! So happy to be here now. So, okay, let's move on. This is the Yuga wave, and I'm now just shortly going to explain to you how that works, looking at a little bit more of the actual astronomical setup. And that would look as follows, so that you understand even better how we are dancing with Sirius throughout the ages. And for that, I'm just going to draw a very graphic image of our galaxy looked at from the side, and this more flat part where it's kind of like a disc, and the flat part is kind of where the Milky Way is, you know, spreading out. And I'm just gonna make this nice equator right through the middle of it. There you go. And this will help you understand how the Sun and Sirius keep reconnecting. So in order to explain this a little bit more clear, I made our galaxy, yes, this is it, as you can see, from cardboard, and it's even bored from a responsible source. Isn't that fitting? So our galaxy moves in a circular, spiraling kind of manner, like basically everything else in the universe. And it's a little bit out of whack, and it continues to like wobble along. And this little red dot over here, at this moment for this example, not saying that it is exactly there, but it is our Sun. It represents our Sun. So as our galaxy is wobbling along its merry way in the universe, you see it makes that wave movement, and that is what we see here. This is what the Sun does if you would look at it from the side, as the galaxy is rotating in its own way. So Sirius is somewhere over here, and every single time the Sun is up, so it is in that upward momentum, that is when they meet. So this is what Sirius is doing, and every single time they meet, they weave this pattern, and then this area all along this here would be that golden age that they're speaking about in the Yuga tradition. So one complete up and down, let's see, would start here, complete up and down would be the 24,000 year cycle. And that means that half of it, just an up and just a down, are the 12,000 year cycles. And right now, little fun fact, our Sun only recently tipped the scales. Apparently, this moment over here, going from the valley up to the hill into the direction of the Golden Age, the most recent time that happened was on December 21st, you guessed it, 2012, approximately. So I say approximately because Arjun, my guide of the Yayal, explained to me that momentum was already there, and we as a human species, energetically, we create that tipping of the scales ourselves. Again, this is a reflection. It's not what is happening to us, this is what is happening through us. So that date energetically was a marker point, yet some people felt the tipping of the scales happening within themselves and within their own lives already before that. Maybe already even around 2010, 2009, who knows? And some people only started feeling it later, 2014, 2015, I don't know, depending on where you are in your own individual evolution. It could have been a little bit away from that, but right now we're beginning to really speed up and everything is starting to move a little faster. But I hope that this helps you understand how we are dancing with Sirius, and our Sirius is dancing with us, and that clarifies a little bit of the astronomical rhythm that we have and how important and beautiful and magical this interaction just is. Okay, so there's a lot more to say about Sirius and our connection to it and all the beautiful beings that come to us. So I'll tell you more about that in the video. See you in a second. So now I have shared the beautiful drawings with you, and you can totally see my art school background from that. Not really. But we're gonna move on to the other topics that are so super interesting and connected to the idea of Sirius as well, and that maybe you are more curious about even. Starting with Sirius, to me, when people say Sirius, the star system, I think super hub. That is the word that comes to me. There's so much light coming through that star. It is a super hub for information. When you think of light in that way, when you think of neurons in your brain shooting electric symbols and energy all the way through your system, just to make it a little bit more tangible or visible in our own reality, that is kind of what I think of when I see Sirius. Because as I understand it from my own contact with multidimensional beings, it is a highway of information. There are so many beings and different species, multidimensional aspects of ourselves moving through Sirius as a doorway, in a sense, to come to us, to connect with us, or simply to move through it as a doorway that they're using even though they're not intending to connect with us. It's just, you know, like a very busy airport, kind of. So that's the first thing I think of. And it's a funny thing to mention because people that connect with multidimensional beings sometimes ask these beings, where are you from? And they may picture or give a picture of Sirius or point in that direction, but that does not necessarily mean that that's where they're from. It's simply that within our parameters, within our perception of reality, sometimes there is no other way for them to explain where they're from by pointing at the door that they used to come into the room. So now we've got that out of the way, and we all understand that all the beings that come from Sirius do not necessarily originate from there. So, and it's many. So the real, let's say, quote unquote real, the ones that have been having a civilization there in that star system, there are many kinds again, but some of them have been communicating with our Earth for a long time. And it's those that are really, really interesting and that I'm going to talk about most in this video. So first of all, maybe you know about Egypt and the Egyptian pyramids, at least the ones built in Giza, the really famous ones. They are basically a mirror of the skies. The way the pyramids are located, they basically show us a reflection of Orion's belt. And the entire setup of the pyramids is incredibly specific. In fact, it is so specifically built that with our modern technology today, we could not rebuild one of the pyramids in that same exact manner. As specific as this was built astronomically is absolutely outstanding. Our Western scientists today do not understand how they back then did that, which I love. I love this kind of mysteries. It just reveals to us that there is so much we don't know yet, and I always get really excited when I think of that. So anyway, Sirius and Orion together in the sky have a very close relationship, and this is an energy combination that relates to many of us. It also relates to the hybrid beings that I communicate with a lot, mainly in my channelings, that have been created between the species or future human beings that we understand to be the Greys and ourselves. They kind of, the hybrid beings that I'm speaking about, the 5 races that have been created as a multidimensional bridge to meet us eventually, you could say, are very much connected to this Sirius-Orion Earth triangle in many, many ways. And I'm gonna make a special video about that to really go in depth. There's too much to share about that to put in this one as well. So, but nonetheless, the Orion-Sirius combination has been guiding humanity throughout the ages, over land and over sea. Before we had GPS systems, Orion and Sirius did the trick. For many, a sailor or traveler. So, in the ancient Egypt, they referred to Orion and Sirius as Isis and Osiris. So you could say they referred to these 2 star systems as locations, as homes for their gods, because they said they understood that from these locations came the gods that made man on earth as we know it today. And that refers actually to the very, very first hybridization project that stems all the way back to the Anunnaki. So it is really, really interesting to see how this knowledge has been passed over throughout the ages and is actually still available to us. And now we can look into it a little deeper and see what this is really about. So it's super exciting. It is that connection, I believe, that the Egyptians were strengthening. They remembered it, they had open contact with the Sirius beings in that time, in those days of the pyramids, and they actually used the pyramids to reconnect with their own higher selves and with these and many other species from out of space in order to gain knowledge. Another really interesting thing about Sirius is the nickname Dog Star. Now, that one also comes from the connection with Orion. From the Greek mythology, it was said that Orion was a famous hunter, the symbol of Orion in the sky, who depicts a man with an arrow and a bow. And he was a famous hunter and he had two favorite dogs. And the dogs are depicted in the heavens as Canis Major, or bigger dog, or big dog, and Canis Minor, which is a smaller dog. So he had two favorite dogs, and his most beloved dog was Canis Major. And Sirius is right in the heart of that star system, or star symbol, right next to him. And what I love about that is that this story is about unconditional love and loyalty and faithfulness. And I think that the dog is the ultimate symbol for unconditional love towards humanity. And this assistance and wanting to be of service and unconditional love truly is the main frequency that I've been receiving from the Sirius star system in connecting with beings that came from that direction or originated there. Also, the people of the Dogon tribe in Africa claim to have had connections with the people from Sirius. And in this case, they were very specific. They said, these people came from Sirius B. These beings came from Sirius B. And they were humanoid, yet not entirely. They were more amphibious in nature, and they needed to live in the water, and then they could also be on the land, but they needed the water close. So I love this because it really bridges, in a sense, the connection of the amphibious beings of Sirius B, connects us with the aliens that we have on our own planet, which are the cetaceans, or the dolphins and the whales, that also live in the water. And I'm gonna go into that a little deeper in a second. But first of all, I wanted to share how astonishing it was for Western scientists to encounter a primitive, quote-unquote, tribe in Africa, knowing everything about Sirius B and the correlation to Sirius A and how they revolved around each other and what kind of a cycle, because that wasn't discovered until way later by Western scientists. And the Dogon people did not have the tools or the lenses or the telescopes that you would originally have needed to even be aware of this information. And not only this astronomical information, but also mathematics, things, all kinds of knowledge were shared by the beings from Sirius B that were in contact with the Dogon people. And the Dogon people called these beings the Nomos. Beings from Sirius can be very different looking. They can be the Dogon described them to be more amphibious, and they can also be non-physical and made out of light. I once had an encounter in an out-of-body experience where I saw a Sirian being made out of what seemed to be a kind of plasma that was moving around and changing colors all the time, but you could actually look through them pretty much and see what's behind them. So that was really interesting. So, and they were very clear about originating from the Sirius star system. So that is one, let's say, appearance they may have. And another one that I also saw in one of my own encounters traveling multidimensionally was indeed with one more amphibious looking being. And that was really interesting too, especially because they're incredibly, or this is the one I saw at least, this one was incredibly lean, I think is the word. He would be amazing at yoga. He was very, very flexible, and you could really tell that he would be a good swimmer, like, because they really move like this, like really watery, and that's how you feel when you're close to them, because you are taken into their energy frequency as you get closer, or you resonate with that. You begin to resonate with it. That sounds much more self-empowering. They're not going to just absorb you in their energy frequency. What really happens is that we begin to resonate together. So I started to feel very flexible in that particular meetup, and that was really interesting for me as well. And that's also when I realized that this particular being was just another version of myself. Like, we all have many cross connections to other beings from the stars and in other human lives, on which I will also make another video once, because there's so much to tell about that too. So, okay, so that was a little sidetrack. Now on to the dolphins. Dolphins and whales is by now commonly known in the spiritual scene, and especially in the scene where the ET contact, multidimensional thing is really happening. The dolphins and the whales have a very strong Sirius connection. So if you're not quite sure about your own Sirius cross connections that you might have within your own multidimensional beingness, in your bigger self, you could say, then a great way to explore that is by connecting with dolphins or whales, or tuning in with that and see what it does with you, with what you feel in your heart, because they can truly open up things within you that are or have been slumbering. And I'm talking DNA activation, being more prepared for telepathy, opening up to a higher and deeper understanding of your dreams, and simply also connecting with your inner child and following your heart, your joy, because that's what the dolphins are all about. For me, it made a huge difference to connect with dolphins in the wild, and I made another little video on that, which was a little bit more of a practical video, but also the one wherein I announced I would make this video. So I'm gonna connect that one below here with a link in the description, so you can look at that if you want. And to round this all off, I'm gonna share 3 tools with you that I've been using to connect for myself with Sirius as a star, and with the beings that are from or come through that connection to connect with us. So here they are. Tool number 1. So these are things that I invented myself. They worked for me, and I would love to hear if they work for you. But play with it in whatever way you like. Adjust it to your own preferences, because I always do believe that the more authentic you create your own permission slips, the better they work for you. So you're the only one who knows how to tweak it. Do that. Feel free to do that. Don't be rigid on yourself, ever. So one of the first things I did for myself, I connected with something from the ocean. So in this case, I'm just gonna show you this beautiful, lovely shell. And what is so nice about this particular shell is that it has, looking at the cross section of it, it has this beautiful Fibonacci spiral in it, which is basically the geometry of existence within our universe, within the rules of our our dimensional, physical, time-space reality. And I just love looking at things that have this beautiful geometry aspect in it, whether it's a flower or anything. Now many shells have this. They either are curled up more in the shape like a horn, or like this, and there are many other shapes. But I would say pick a shell that has a nice kind of swirl in it. And what I did, I would put this one and put a little candle in front of it, so the light of the candle was shining on it. And I would just breathe in, following this inward, and finishing my breath, I would breathe out, following this outward with my focus. And I would repeat that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like a little in-between meditation. And I'm telling you, I had really, really awesome dreams after that. And it was definitely Sirius connected. So that is number one. Number two, water. Well, since water is basically the element Sirius is connected with or represented by on our planet almost. Water is like a liquid crystal. It has its own memory. It is a very powerful tool for intentions, for cleansing, for rebalancing, for realigning yourself, for so many beautiful, blissful things. So because water is so malleable and adaptable, I love charging water just for fun. So what you can do is you fill a carafe with water or a big glass, and you can add some crystals at the bottom if you want. And then just keep your hands outside of it. Both of your hands each on one side. And with your breath connected to your heart, just really, really focus on charging the water with love and whatever positive words or meaning you wish to flow into the water. And ask your Sirian cross connections, if they are there, if they want to assist you in doing that. Every single time I invited my Sirius friends to be a part of a water charging activity, I'm just gonna call it, or meditation, I felt it was much more, it was amplified in power, and I really, really love that. So things that you can feel while you're doing this, whether you're new to energy work or familiar with it already for a while, just see what you get when you think of the oceans or dolphins or whatever connects your energy frequency to the idea of Sirius for you. Invite that and flow it into the water and see what you get and how it tastes afterwards. Let me know. And you may feel your hands heat up or tingle or be pushed together automatically or pushed apart, and just flow with it. Don't mentalize it into a certain direction, just flow and see what you get. Number 3 is to simply stargaze at Sirius. And while you're at it, and since it's pretty much in the neighborhood, you might also want to check out Orion. Just look at the star itself. And to get another depth of that experience, Sirius actually is also called the rainbow star for a really good reason, because it flickers like a disco ball in all kinds of bright and amazing colors. And once upon a time I meditated on the star, and not only on the star, I checked out a video on YouTube where I looked for a close-up of Sirius. And I think I entered something like rainbow star, Sirius, close-up video. And I found this awesome video where somebody took the effort to actually zoom in and record that amazing flickering dance of bright colors that is continuously happening on the surface of Sirius. And I had really incredible downloads after that, so I can recommend that as well, absolutely. Another fun fact is that the new year for the old Egyptian people, had to do with the moment when our sun and Sirius would together rise at the horizon. That would be the beginning of the new year for them. And there would be a seer, or how do you call that? A reader energy reader at that moment to observe the flickering of colors in the Sirius-star, and according to the amount of blue or green or yellow or pink, so according to the colors that would appear in that specific moment, this person would make predictions for the next year to come. So that is a nice thing to know, isn't it? I think so. It's a fun fact. And of course, yeah, like I said before, if you actually have the opportunity to swim with wild dolphins or with the whales, that is absolute magic, and that can activate a lot of information within your own, perhaps Sirian cross connections as well, that might be slumbering in you. But so may any other of these permission slips. I would say do what feels best and what feels right to you, whatever excites you the most. And if you have any kinds of experiences after doing these things, if you felt cool to do them, then I would love to hear them, and you can share them here below. So I have to round it off, otherwise this video is gonna last forever. So this is pretty much everything I could squeeze in here about Sirius right here, right now. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next one with infinite amounts of love, and please like, subscribe if it feels in the flow for you.